All right, we are live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Office Hours. We are joined by Greg Kilwine, our founder of AttractWell, and then also myself. I am co-founder of AttractWell. Ashley is gone this week, so him and I are running the show today, and we have a wonderful speaker today who has been has been a business coach for about 15 years. And today she is going to be telling us how proper branding adds money to your pocket. But first of all, before she starts here, why don't you tell us where you are coming in from? And has it started finally warming up where you are at? In North Dakota, we are starting to finally see 60s and 70s, which is great. So I don't know, Tiffany, how about you?
I am in sunny Phoenix, Arizona, and it has definitely hit over 100. My car said 112 yesterday.
Oh.
So yes, so I thrive in air conditioning. Wouldn't be able to live without it, but it's beautiful. Everybody's happy here, but it is hot. We just stay inside during the summer here. Ottawa, Canada, California. Oh yes, I'm coming to Coach Mark. I'm coming to Southern California in a couple of weeks for a family reunion, but I spent a lot of time in San Francisco, and it's very beautiful up there. So, well, good.
Well, welcome.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. I'll just jump right in. Thank you so much for having me. You are just both so lovely, and I just I've interacted with so many people who are in your community and all that, and I just feel like it's such a place of support and home, and we all rise together, and I just love it. So what I'm going to jump into, first of all, I'm Tiffany Armstrong. I'm a business coach and mindset coach, and I've been coaching internationally for many years now. And one of the topics that Greg and Amanda and I were talking about are the most impactful for when I'm working with my private clients or in groups is branding. Whether you're a coach or you're in network marketing, whatever it may be, branding can make or break how much money people will spend with you within a split second. They will make a snap judgment on how much money they're willing to spend. Will they trust you? There's so much that goes into that. And so I'm just going to get into some simple tricks of the trade that I teach on a regular basis that completely shift people's brands. And it is more simple than you think, but it is extremely important for you to make the kind of money that you want and have the impact that you want, right? So with that, I'm going to show some slides. I always start with a 5-minute little mindset piece in the beginning because 80% of the success of a business falls on the psychology of the business owner, right? And so it is so important that we're not getting in our own way. And I've studied mindset for, gosh, I think 18 years now. And I see patterns with entrepreneurs. And so I bring just little tidbits on mindset once in a while, just to help us break through any self-sabotage we're sneaking into our lives and that are tanking our businesses. So I'm just going to spend 5 minutes on this, and then we're going to get right into branding, where I'm going to show you these simple tricks with branding. I'm going to give you some very tangible things that you can go implement right away. So, and I will be watching the chat. So if you have questions, we're going to do a Q&A. So just let me know, keep the questions coming as we go. So first of all, money, our money story. Let me just get into this very fast. But the way we subconsciously feel about money can make or break a business. That in and of itself, I have seen completely people who have everything in place. They're so skilled. They have all their business processes in place, but they could not make their business work. And then I get into this money story with them and understand all the sneaky ways that they've been self-sabotaging because of their money story. And all of a sudden the floodgates open up and they start making a heck of a lot of money. And that was something that happened for me. So myself. So a couple things is money is called currency for a reason. It's meant to flow, right? A lot of times we have that kind of scarcity mindset where we want to hold on to it and not invest. An example of that would be if you are, trying to make graphics and you're just not very good at it, and it's taking you hours and hours a week to make graphics for your AttractWell landing pages or your social media, and you can just outsource it for maybe $100 or something like that. It's a good use of your time. So we let the money sometimes go out to delegate so we can focus on the money making things, the things that the tasks that actually move the needle in our business. So it's important for us to not hang on to every task and come with a scarcity mindset. So the quick skibby of my money story, just because it's helpful for people to kind of latch onto theirs, is I grew up, my parents divorced when I was 5. My mom is who I grew up with, and she filed bankruptcy twice. We ended up living in her friend's basement for a couple of years, and I had to travel an hour and a half to high school every day. It was really tough, right? And then she did not like my dad. They didn't like each other. They divorced for a reason. And he's this multi-millionaire, very successful in business and all that. I only saw him a couple times a year, so he didn't have a big influence on my upbringing. Now I'm very close to him. But what was interesting is my mom would say, people who make a lot of money are pretentious jerks. They're selfish, da, 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 da. And that was just her money story that she was passing on to me, right? And growing up, I was a severe people pleaser for a lot of reasons. And I just wanted to be liked. And so what I found, and I didn't understand why, my finances start to skyrocket. And then somehow I would self-sabotage that and it would go back down. And then they'd skyrocket and they'd go back down. And I had to get to the bottom of why was I doing that? Because it affected my businesses. I have 2 different businesses, but it was also affecting who I was working with too, right? Because I would suddenly start to go into self-sabotage mode and I didn't know what was going on. I definitely don't do that anymore. But the money story was the underneath reason why I was sabotaging my business back then. I have a failed business and I could really tie a lot of that to my money story. I will never fail at business again because I've learned those lessons, right? So it's important that we get to the bottom of this. So what it really comes down to, when I work with people and see people in business, whether they're coaches, whether they're in any service-based business, any business, right? Network marketing. If your needle is not where you want it to be in your business, meaning if you're not making the money that you really believe in your heart that you can make, right? And that means you're making an impact in the world. If it's not there, it's either typically a fear of success, a fear of failure, just a straight lack of clarity on how to do it. Sometimes it's just a skill set that you need to learn or delegate out of somebody who has the skill set. Or some people have a fear of making a lot of money and then the shame around what if they don't know how to manage it and then they lose it. So then they don't want to make it in the first place. So we will go into the most bizarre self-sabotaging behaviors that don't seem like self-sabotage. We are very good at convincing ourselves that we're not sabotaging. And one example that I used to do is I would spend 3 hours making a graphic in Canva. Okay, before I learned graphic design and all the things, I'd spend 3 hours getting it all perfect. It never turned out beautiful anyway, because I was horrible at graphic design back then. But then I'd go post it on social media and I would get 1 like before I knew what I was doing on social media. And I'm like, is that a good use of my time? 3 hours? What do I want to make per hour? Would I be willing to pay somebody else that amount of money to make 1 graphic to get 1 like? Absolutely not, right? So that was one of my sneaky ways of self-sabotage. Is I was busy, but I was busy with all the wrong things. And I was busying myself with all the wrong things because I was scared to make money back then. And I didn't want to be judged because, if I made a lot of money, people might not like me, right? That was the story. So what is your story, right? One of the questions I ask all the time is, if you had an opportunity to tomorrow put $1 million of cash into your account, into your personal account, if you had that opportunity and all you had to do is check a box and have that happen, what fears come up for you? It's just something to check in with yourself about. Do you have any fears like, I don't want my family to know about it because if they're going to expect me to share with them, otherwise they're not going to like me. Or, there's just so many fears that come up for people, right? What if I manage it badly? Maybe I don't deserve this. Maybe I'm not deserving of that amount of money. So a lot of times our money story is getting in the way. And if you have fears come up, any fears whatsoever with money coming into your account, that's something that is definitely sabotaging your business. So I just want you to draw your attention to it. And the thing is, what did your parents teach you about money? Even as an adult, have you had any hard lessons about money, or you see other people walking around with their Louis Vuitton bags and you're judging them, and then you don't want to be judged yourself, right? That person's just taking care of themselves and they have different priorities than maybe one of us does, right? So it just is a matter of getting to the bottom of your money story, okay? And then what has your money pattern been? Look at the patterns. History repeats itself on a regular basis. And when we look back at the patterns, when I looked back and thought, wow, I'm making $400,000 a year. Oh, suddenly I'm making $80,000 a year. Why, how did I get to that point again? And then all of a sudden I'm making this. And it was just amazing how those patterns happen. So I was like, what happens right before I start to cycle down? What fear comes up? What am I doing to create that sabotage? Okay, so it's important that we get to the bottom of that. We will sabotage ourselves if we don't clear this out. So the last piece of this, and then I'll move on to the branding, is I was sitting in the audience of, I always have a coach in my life. My coaches get higher and higher and higher, and as I level up, I need a different type of coach. The audiences that I go sit in, the messages get even more powerful. So one of the most powerful lessons I learned was by a gentleman named Chris Harder. Some of you might know his wife, Lori Harder. She's a kind of a fitness influencer. He's a money influencer. And he was standing on stage and he said, 400 people in the audience. And he said, how many of you have a cause that you believe in that you would love to make a big difference in? Some charity, something, right? And every single person in the audience raised their hand, because we all have things that move us and inspire us in life and that we want to make a difference in. Then he said, how many of you have enough cash on hand in your life right now that you could go make a reasonable difference in that charity or in that cause? And 2 people in the entire room raised their hands. Not me. Not back then. I had no idea what I was doing with money back then. And my money mindset was horrible. I had no idea. Trying to run a business with a tough money mindset, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So one of the things he said was, here's the deal. We sabotage ourselves. We have these money stories, right? He just said this and it stuck with me, and it stuck with me till it's going to stick with me till the end of time. Good people with good money do good things, right? If you're a good person, if you have high morals and values, and you make a crap ton of money coming in, and then you get to go do something good with it. One of the things I do with my self-defense business is about 50% plus of the proceeds I give straight to human trafficking efforts to get people out of different, situations, to build homes for these people, for the victims and all the survivors, and then also domestic violence. I used to be in domestic violence situation myself. I believe wholeheartedly on people stepping up and giving to these causes where people need support. And I could not do that if I can't pay my own bills, right? If I'm still living paycheck to paycheck. So I digress on this topic, but it is just a matter of writing down, getting in touch with your own money story, writing it down and burning it. If it's a bad one, right? If it's negative, if there's something that's not empowering about it, go burn it, go flush it down the toilet, whatever you need to do. Okay. But that's your old money story. Write your new money story and post it somewhere. Put it on your sticky note on your bathroom mirror so you see it every day, whatever it is. But just keep tuning into that, because repetition is the key to change I'm a science dork. I can't help myself. So to change your neural pathways in your brain, you do have to read and really live that new version of yourself. So I will move on to branding, but if there's any questions on money story, can you relate? I'm just curious if any of you relate to what that feels like in your life. Okay, so I'm going to move on to branding because I know that's why you're here. And this is, again, branding can make or break your business. That is just the reality of branding. It is absolutely amazing the power of what happens when you have bad branding and good branding. And for those of you who are in network marketing companies, I just want you to try this hat on for a second. Yes, your company, Q Sciences, Young Living, whatever company you're with, they have their branding, right? But you are your own brand, right? People don't go to you just because of the company you're with. They go to you because you're you. You have these beliefs, you have this education that you're sharing, and the tool that you happen to help them with is through that company. So I just want you to think, as I speak on branding here, that's how to apply it to you if you're in network marketing, okay? Cami said she could certainly relate. I definitely get it. Good for you. So branding. Here is the quick tips on branding. You are your branding, how you show up, right? So let's just say I jumped on this call with you guys and I start talking, and not that everybody needs to wear makeup, but let's say I had no makeup on, my hair was in a bun, half falling off my hair with frizzies everywhere, looking like I just woke up. I'm in a sweatshirt. My background is extremely cluttery. If you saw all that happening, and then also if my lighting was dark, I always just like to show this. So what if this was my lighting and I show up, and would you take me seriously? Like, would you actually lean into my message, or would you be like, this is just some chick who's trying to make a business out of something? And, would you even take my message seriously, right? No, of course not, because it's amazing when there's clutter in the background. Just as an example, when there's clutter in the background, and you're a coach, if you're a coach and you're seeing clients, if you're network marketing and you're trying to take on team members, right, brand partners and such, and they see a whole bunch of clutter in the background, what is their immediate feeling going to be about you? You're cluttery, you're not trustworthy, because not trustworthy in the sense that you're going to lie, but not trustworthy in the sense that they can trust you as a leader to stay organized and guide them, right? It's amazing how we show up on camera, how it can make or break how people feel about us. If you're on sales calls with potential coaching clients, and you're sitting here and you're just looking like a mess and you're late and you're unorganized, there's no way your sales conversions are going to be high. I have an 80% sales conversion rate, and it's because I show up as my brand, and this is me, and I'm authentic to myself. What you see is what you get, kind of thing. And that's how we want to show up. Okay. Very, very powerful. So next is the first question I always ask when you're thinking about branding in general is, who are you speaking to in your business, right? Do you have a niche? Have you narrowed down who you're speaking to? Or do you try to speak to everyone, which I don't recommend. I don't recommend niching down to moms with children who are 2 and 8 on the nose. And this one happens to have, something like, you can't niche down that much because you're not going to have a wide enough audience. But it is important to niche down a little bit or a lot, depending on what you're doing. And like, for example, my other business is self-defense. And if I show you this, am I speaking to men or women? I think it's pretty obvious, right? Plus, I show up and I have pink heels on, for goodness sakes. I'm not sure I'm going to draw in the men on my self-defense brand, and I don't want to, right? I'm polarizing, and that's a beautiful thing, because if I try to speak to men and women in self-defense, I have to say different things to them, right? If I did my social media and I was trying to speak to men and women on my social media, nobody's going to get the message. Not one person will lean in because they don't feel like I'm relating to them. So I decided to polarize towards the feminine woman who is not willing to go into a martial arts facility and roll around on the mat, right? A woman in CrossFit would. She's used to going to the gym and sweating and doing all that stuff. The feminine woman who's walking around in heels and cocktail dresses, there's a big missing for self-defense in their life, right? So that's where I'm talking about branding is so extremely important to understand who you're speaking to. And then we're going to get into how you show up. Like, how do they want you to show up? What colors do they like? What fonts do they like? And I'm going to teach you the psychology of fonts and all the things. Okay. So then, let's see. Okay. Here we go. Sorry, I'm reading some chat comments. So here's your branding in a nutshell. Okay. Your brand voice. And I'm going to get into the details of each of these. Your brand voice matters. And it's really important for you to really have that top of mind. Every message you ever write, every landing page in AttractWell that you create, any graphics you create, you want your brand voice to match and be congruent throughout your everywhere you're doing branding. Okay. Every time you're talking to somebody, that is even showing up on video. What brand voice are you showing up as? Okay. Your colors. One of the biggest mistakes I see all the time is somebody's like, okay, I'm going to do some blue in my branding. And then all of a sudden, all their social media posts, there's little different hues and tints of blue. And it just has this whole lack of congruence, and it looks chaotic. And then are people going to hire you as a coach, for example, if you're coming across as chaotic? Absolutely not, right? We need consistency. People like consistency. The fonts, I'm going to get into the psychology of fonts, logos. Even if you're in network marketing, you can have your own, like a signature logo. So instead of having, let's just use Q Sciences as an example. If you're creating all these graphics in Canva to put on your social media, and you could do the Q Sciences logo, but it's even better to put your own logo on there and say Q Sciences is the tool you use to support people. Okay, so you are your brand. Just keep that in mind. And then the photos of you, I'm going to spend a little time on that because that is extremely important. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of tips. Okay. If we're showing up and it's dark and it's, our camera is foggy and all this stuff, people immediately like, nope, I won't spend more than $50 with that person. And then, you know, if you show up properly and clear and lit up and all the things, people will be like, sure, I'll spend 15,000 with that person as long as there's a positive return for me, right? So it makes a huge difference. So let's see what we mean by brand voice. Who are you? What do you want your brand to sound like? Like your copywriting. So one of the things I teach is copywriting, okay? Because it is everything, how you speak, how you show up, all that kind of stuff. So do you want your brand to be witty, sarcastic, maybe even, right? Sassy a little bit. Do you want it to be inspirational, professional, educational, authoritative, where you're like, this is how it needs to be done, right? One of my clients is Mental Joe. They take a stand for mental health. He drops F-bombs everywhere because he's this military gruff guy, and he's like, this effing needs to change. And I won't say the word, but that's what his brand voice is, disruptive, okay? Legal or lawyers, for example, they're speaking with a very educational, legal tone, professional, right? Keep in mind, you can have a mixture of these, right? So like, I tend to be on the witty, inspirational side along with education. You can see here my brand voice. It says, here's the deal. Some people suck and they're going to continue to be horrible people. That is a sassy way to say that, right? And I have tried, I've tested, and I've split tested, just saying that in a very bland way. Like, yeah, there's bad people in the world and we need to learn self-defense, and nobody responds to it or relates that. So I was willing to be a little disruptive with that sentence, right? So what is your brand voice? I want you to think about it, write it down, maybe a combination of these two. And then every single time you do a post, every single time you're choosing copywriting within your AttractWell landing pages and website, whatever it is, emails, I want you to think, am I writing within my brand voice? Because you do need to stay consistent, okay? Think about your niche and what do they respond to? Do they like the sassiness, right? Do they like the sassiness? I was teaching somebody some copywriting yesterday, and they said, can you give me some tips? And they wrote this little blurb, and it was just bland, like, hey, research showed that 80% of this, da-da-da-da. And it was just kind of the content was there, and it was good content, but it was boring. And so I said, is there anything before that you can spice it up with? And I can't remember exactly what she ended up coming up with, but let me just give you an example within my self-defense, okay? How I show up on video. When I very first started my self-defense brand, I would show up and my content was very powerful. I would be like, okay, I have a self-defense tip for you. If you're walking down the street and somebody is coming in and kind of getting a little too close for comfort, blah, 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 here's what you do, okay? That's how I used to present myself. And it was like, let me just give you this information because it's so good. But on social media, in your landing pages, believe it or not, entertainment is number one. The value of your content is number two. So instead of me being like, here's a self-defense tip, blah, blah, I'm Tiffany, I have 2 different second-degree black belts, and da, 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 and nobody really cares, right? Instead, you get a little more, I'm a little bit more animated, as you can tell. I'm quite an animated person, used to not be. But I would, instead of giving that tip in a bland way, my brand voice was a little playful with self-defense, because self-defense is a heavy topic and I don't want people to take it on in fear. So we can be playful. So I would lean in and say something like, we've all been walking down the street where that dude is walking a little bit too close for comfort. What do we do? Do we look? Do we not look? Do we look? Do we not look? Right? That's my brand voice coming out and being playful within self-defense. And that made it more entertaining. And a lot of my videos have gone viral. Millions of people have seen them because I'm so dialed into the entertainment factor and then valuable content and making sure my brand voice is consistent. Okay, so very, very important to have that down. Next, and I'll just say this because I've already kind of touched on it, but some people are going to be in the brand of like, hey, get it, sister, you know, oh, girl, you know, I get you, blah, blah, and they kind of have that little sassy type of conversation. Do you think a lawyer is going to be saying this on their websites? Or absolutely not, right? This is not the brand voice of an educational, professional, legal type of side of things, right? If you do copywriting, you definitely need to understand the brand voice, right? This is a little bit more of an inspirational one. It's time to break free from those chains and step into the powerhouse that you were meant to be. My tonality changed into inspiration, right? So it's how you say it, it's what you say it, and all of it needs to be consistent with your brand voice, okay? I will move on, but just keep that in mind. Next, colors. this is the coolest tool. It's so simple. With all my clients, we just get a brand color palette and we stick to it and we never shift because their brands come across as so consistent then. So there's a website called coolers.co. It's not .com, it's .co. And you just click on the start the generator. And once that pops up, I'm just going to show you the simplicity of choosing brand colors. So remind yourself on a regular basis when you're choosing your branding, whether it's your fonts, your colors, you want to like them. They need to feel like you. They need to feel authentic. I don't believe in having an inauthentic brand just because your niche likes it. That you do have to have a connection to your brand, right? But also keep in mind, it's not just about you. It's what is your niche attracted to? You know, you do a little market research on that and see like what colors does my niche like? And then you go pick your colors based on that, okay? At least keep that in mind. So let's just say I like this medium turquoise color. I'm gonna lock this, okay? You can even move it to the side. And then I'm gonna hit the space bar. The space bar is gonna start going through and start finding somewhat complementary colors to this color, right? And so we go and I'm like, oh, you know what? Wow, this is quite the contrast. Maybe this can be my pop of color, because you always want some color that maybe pop in your brand. And then you start going, okay, well, now I'm looking for kind of a more neutral, and you just go through. So then these right here are called a hex code. All right. I use Trello to organize everything. My whole life and all my businesses are in Trello.com. So I just create a branding Trello card, but write it down in a document. It doesn't matter where you keep it, but you copy that hex code and you go paste it, and that's it. You never divert from those colors, okay? Then within your AttractWell, you get to go and customize your website and add those right to it, because once you have your branding, your fonts and everything like that, you go to customize my site and you can add your logo, whatever else is in there, but then you can also do your fonts and colors right here, okay? And that's where you go put them in and you're done with it, okay? So that is colors. Any questions on that, you let me know, okay? Then moving on to fonts. There's a psychology to fonts, and this is fascinating. So excuse me for bouncing around so much. I sprained my rib, and so if I look like I'm fidgeting all over the place, it's because I'm having a hard time breathing. So pardon me. But anyways, fonts. Serif. I don't know what I just did there. Serif fonts and sans serif fonts. Sans is the Latin word for without. So serif really means hooks in a sense. These are the hooks on the letters. Sans serif is the flat cut off edges on text, okay? With hooks, the serif font makes wonderful headlines. This is one of my clients' websites that I created in AttractWell of all places. And a new approach, this whole piece, that is a serif font. This is a sans serif font. So the serif fonts with the hooks make better headlines. They just do, they pop out, they stand, they look more more boisterous, and they take up more space. They call for attention. So if you find yourself a serif font, that's wonderful, okay? Sans serif is better for paragraphs. Side note, when you're creating your landing pages and website and everything in AttractWell or Get Oiling if you're with Young Living, if you're creating those, keep in mind that you want to not write full paragraphs, big, huge paragraphs. People will, all the research on websites, they do not read paragraphs. If you happen to need to write a paragraph, maybe in your bio or something, it's a paragraph, but bold certain words, because people will skim through, catch your bold words and move on. So they like to consume landing pages and things like that, websites in bullet points. Maybe you can do graphics for things instead, so the graphic can tell the story instead of a whole bunch of writing. People will not read paragraphs, okay? So just keep that in mind. Then, so serif and sans serif. So the ways to find fonts, there's a few different ways that I love is fonts.google.com. Very simple. I just went to fonts.google.com. Then you just choose, you can choose serif or sans serif. Sometimes we also want a handwriting one or a cursive one, so you can have a little pop of personality, extra personality in your brand. But you just choose serif, for example, and then you can see all these. So the couple things is, you know what, I'm going to show you what they have. Let me do this really quick so you can see, because I started typing the alphabet. So let me just show you what that actually looks like when you land on the page. Okay, so here we go. So here they have a sentence in there. You can uncheck everything and just find your serif font. So now you have a whole bunch of serif fonts. You can see how they look. I start looking at all the letters because this sometimes isn't my favorite G, just for my own personal taste. So I don't love that G as much. And so what I tend to do is first, I always write my name because that's my brand. Okay, is there anything in my name I don't like? And then I start typing out the entire alphabet, if I knew the alphabet, and I do lowercase and uppercase to make sure I like every single letter that I would be using on a regular basis at least, okay? So that's one way, is just going to fonts.google.com and you choose your font and you stick with it. No matter what, you stick with it. Canva, right in here, right? So here we go. I can change this font and I can go here and search for serif. And then all the serif fonts are going to pull up, and maybe I'll do that and be like, do I like that better? And I do the alphabet thing right in here. So that's kind of a cool font that I just chose. Okay. So maybe that'll be my new brand font. I'm just joking. But you just choose your fonts. And then another one is Creative Market. That is where they do more unique fonts. And these unique fonts you can purchase. They're usually somewhere between 10 and 20 bucks for the font. You can download it and upload it right into Canva, and then AttractWell, the support team, you just send them if you buy a font, you just send them the font file and they will upload it to your AttractWell or Get Oiling for you. So these are my favorite ways to find fonts. Okay, so let me know if you have any questions on that. Otherwise, we're moving on to logos. Logos are so important, and if you're a coach or service-based or whatever your business is, you definitely need a logo of some sort, whether it's your name, whether it's your company name, your personal name, whatever it may be. If you're in network marketing, you still need a logo, believe it or not, because yes, you have the brand of the company, but again, if you're making graphics and putting them on social media, you might want to put like a little cursive of your name at the bottom, really subtly, okay? So a couple things about logos is they need to be part of your brand voice, right? So like this is my logo I created. I rebranded about 2 years ago and went kind of more with the gold, because one of my things is my goal, make people a lot of money, and gold just exudes that. Kanika is one of my good friends and business partner for certain things, and she is a mindset coach. And what she does, she's actually with Young Living as well, but she does real gentle mindset shifts, very powerful but gentle. So her brand is a little bit more soft because she kind of does more meditative things and manifesting of things and things like that. So her brand is that. This is one of my other clients. Her name is Jerry. She's a coach for teens, and she is a bold, big personality. She's on these huge stages all the time, and this is perfect for her personality and her brand, right? For some of you, you might want a signature, right? And it just the fonts have to feel right to you. You'll once you get your logo for yourself, I always recommend branding yourself. All my brands are Tiffany Armstrong, and then my companies fall under that. Okay, so I brand myself, because let's say you don't do that anymore. You still have the Tiffany Armstrong brand. Even if I stopped doing self-defense, for example, I still have the Tiffany Armstrong brand, and I still have my business consulting and the other things I do, right? So it's important to just get a nice logo for yourself. And then I will just say this real quick on this one. This is my old logo years ago. Gosh, this was probably 15 years ago, where I was just going into the marketing side of the world. And you can tell this is quite a masculine, heavy, powerful logo. I used to live a lot more in my masculine. This is so indicative of my personality. And I have done so much personal development work that now I'm just very comfortable leading a business in the feminine. And so this logo to me now does not call to me. And so you have to understand, again, your niche. If I'm trying to draw in women, this logo would not have done well. Okay, this is more of a masculine logo. So a couple things is you can get logos, you can do your logos right on Canva. Okay, all these I did on Canva. This one years ago I did on Fiverr. And so Fiverr, Fiverr.com. This is where if you're not good at graphic design, don't worry about it. You just outsource it, and you can go to logo design. You just type Fiverr.com, go to logo, and then you can search and start seeing some of the work of some of these people. And it's like, okay, yeah, none of these are really drawing to me. Okay, I'm starting to lean towards this one. And then this is 120 bucks. Some of them are $15, you know? So you can just get a logo made, but I've had some of my clients get some logos made through Fiverr for 20 bucks and they're outstanding. So don't think just the cost of it always plays in, okay? Because there's some amazing designers who just don't charge very much, okay? So that's one of the ways to get your logo done if you don't want to do it yourself, okay? Or don't feel capable. All right. Any questions so far? I think we're doing good, right? So, okay, so next is your photo shoots. Let's just talk about this real quick, just some do's and don'ts and some tips, okay? So we can do photo shoots ourselves. I have a planner that Amanda's going to put in the comments. It is a 3-page. Here is lighting tips. Here's what to bring to your photo shoots. Here's how to plan your photo shoots. So you do your photos yourself and have them look legitimately like a professional photographer did it. So I'm going to teach you that in a second. There's also Snapper is another, let's see if I have it up here. Let me just pull it up. Snapper is almost like an on-demand photographer. It's a unique business model that they have. I need a photo shoot right now, okay? And you can schedule it out as well, but then you just say, okay, this is for business. And then you say, okay, I am looking to, you can do show more, and then I am looking to do kind of a lifestyle photo shoot. So not a portrait so much. So a lot of times I choose other, and then I say, I want to do branding for my business. And they're like, oh, no problem. We'll get you in the right hands. So, and then you guys just choose a location and you go with it. Okay. So I have a couple more tips on what to do about photo shoots, but I'll come up with that in a second. There's also a company called FemForce. It's in a lot of your cities, but FemForce, I'll just show you super fast. FemForce Shoots. It's actually a subscription model where they will have 3 photographers at a location. You sign up for the location, and then there's like 8 people there getting their photos done, and you bring outfit changes, 3 outfit changes. So while somebody else is getting their photo taken, you go change, you come back, and they shoot you for about 10 minutes. The beauty of the concept of this, whether you went with this company or not, they're in these cities, but it's $129 a month, I think, for content. And the thing is, the reason I like this concept, whether you did something like this or not, is when you're just thinking about photo shoots in general. My very first photo shoot, I'm embarrassed to say how much I paid for it. I paid $5,000 for my first photo shoot. It was like intense branding photo shoot, and it went on for 2 days. I nearly died with the fact that I let that much money go out. Now I teach people, please don't do that. Please learn from my mistake. That was not a good use of my money. But what happened was I brought probably 6 different outfits, but they took about 2,000 plus photos in each outfit, right? And then the problem is, can you use all those on social media? Think about it, 6 outfits, let's just say, okay? If I start going and posting all those on social media, I'm gonna get about 12 posts out of all of those photos, because I can't sit here and post every other day of me in the same outfit. Like, now I'm going to look an inch to that side, and now Tiff's looking an inch to that side, and now she's smiling, and now she's doing this. Like, it is like, okay, she's got the same outfit sitting in the same chair. That's not interesting. And people are just going to be like, okay, Tiff's boring. So this is the biggest mistake I made. So please get this with yourself, whether you're doing your own photos or you're having a photographer do it. More outfit changes, more different backgrounds, and fewer photos of each, versus 2 or 3 outfits and a ton of photos of each is one of my biggest tips, because now you have a lot of social media content and different graphics you can pull in to your email sequences and just all the things, your landing pages, right? So keep that in mind. Don't do what I did. And then you can hire a photographer, right? Everybody knows a photographer. So if you can do that. The other thing I look for is, when you are hiring a photographer, ask this question. Can I get access to all of the photos? And then maybe you'll have them only edit 10 of them. So you can edit, you could do your own filters, editing. There's so many editing softwares out there right now, but you want access to all your photos. There are photographers out there, and this is just a different business model. I'm not bagging on them, but for you to have consistent social media content, you want as many options as possible. And so if they say, no, I'll take the photos, and that is $500 for me to do the photos, and then you only get 3, and then you have to pay per picture after that, that's really tough, and it's going to add up to a lot of money. So just another thing to just ask and make sure you're getting a photographer who's willing to give you all of the photos. Okay. Sometimes they'll do it for a little fee, sometimes not, but at least get access to all your photos. Okay. Then a couple little tips. Here's some don'ts. Okay. The selfie. The selfie's fine on social media. You know, I do selfies sometimes. I did not hop on the selfie trend. I think it was like 4 years in, and I'm like, I just don't feel comfortable taking a picture of myself. Especially when people are like looking off and they take a picture of themselves and like kind of act like somebody else took it. I always felt so awkward doing stuff like that. And so there's a way to do selfies and a way to not do selfies. People know you're holding the camera, so look at the camera and interact that way. Don't be like, Bay caught me sleeping again. You know, those funny little things, like you're holding the camera. So just don't do that. But when you're taking selfies, there's a time and place for it. You don't want to necessarily, like if you're looking to, I'm going to just pull up Jerry's website again, but on her website, this is a professional photo shoot she did. She didn't spend a lot of money on it, but when you see her, this is not her holding a camera selfie and seeing her arm in the picture. She got a legitimate photo shoot done, right? And even the playful ones, let me show you this. Even her playful ones, the mom life, hashtag mom life kind of thing, she's not doing a selfie with that too, right? So you do get a feeling of her brand right away and how she means business. Like she's not just taking selfies and throwing them up on her landing pages. So people will make, like I said, those snap judgments on you, and your photos make a huge difference with that. Okay. The other one, the potty pick, I just giggle about that a little bit, but it's so common. The lighting in the bathrooms are amazing, right? You have the vanities that are meant to light up, and sometimes you have some natural light. So a lot of times you'll see people take pictures in the bathroom of themselves because the lighting is so good, but people know you're in the bathroom, and it just is this weird subconscious uncomfortable feeling it gives people. So I am just boldly saying no pictures in the bathroom, and then we'll move on. And then the cutout, so I have seen this on professional landing pages and websites. I've seen the picture that they choose to put there. Like, I'm just gonna pull up my site here. So like this was a photo of me, right? These kinds of photos. Okay, the photo they chose to put as their, hey, meet the expert, here's my bio. It was a cutout. Somebody's face was cut off, and it just felt really funny and strange. And it's like, is that your ex? Like, who is that? And you start like going down the story. You know how we are as human nature, right? You're just like, what is the deal with that person getting cut out? That's a little strange. So just don't do the cutout, okay? Even on social media, never do the cutout. Just get a picture by yourself, okay? Also, I just want to show the difference between having no background and having a background. There is a different feel that comes from it, right? So this was a photo shoot I did. This is Jerry that I keep mentioning. It is fascinating that if we wanted to remove the background in Canva, you just click on it, edit the image, and then you can actually do a background remover. And it thinks for a little while, and all of a sudden it will remove the background. And there is a little bit more, it depends on the situation. I'm not saying you always need to remove your background, but if you're doing stuff in AttractWell and really having a professional presence in it, removing the background is actually ideal. Okay, so I'm just going to show that to you. Same thing, like if you saw this picture of me at the top here and I had like trees in the background and it was like the nature shot behind me, and then I was trying to fit words over here, it's so distracting and cluttery, and people just don't take you as seriously. Okay, so remove those backgrounds for those kinds of things. And then like this girl is one of my other clients, she's a baker. When you're thinking about photo shoots, you're like, okay, do you need any props, right? What is the purpose of the photo? Like, you actually want to be strategic about it, and it doesn't take long. You sit, I have that planner, like I said, but you sit and you're like, okay, here's the first photo I want to do, and here's the props I need for it. So you can not be wasting your time. If you're going to go to a photographer or you're going to do it yourself, either way, you don't want to go take a whole bunch of photos and then come back and be like, oh, I should have done it with this. Once you've done yourself all up and stuff like that, you just want to make it efficient. Okay, I'm an efficiency queen. I can't waste time. So that is that. And then the last piece is applying your branding to everything. Being consistent, how you show up on camera, your fonts, your colors, everything. You apply it to your social media, you apply it to your email campaigns. All of my email campaigns in AttractWell, all my nurturing sequences, and when people sign up for one of my lead magnets, they get a confirmation email. All of my buttons are the same color, always. They all have the rounded color. Like, people will start to have that brand recognition. On my emails within AttractWell, I have an email signature with my logo and my website and like all that kind of stuff. So it's important that you just keep that consistent across the board, okay? And apply it to your website. So with that, I always just say it's implementation time, because knowledge without implementing it, what's the purpose of even being here, right? So so just keep in mind, identify your niche, like who are you speaking to, at least have that front of mind. And then go choose your brand colors, your fonts, design your logo if you don't have one. It could be just a simple signature or your initials, whatever it may be, and then upgrade your photos of yourself. And then I always just save everything in the Google Drive in a very organized fashion. So I have photo shoots here, and every photo shoot I do, whether I take it myself, or I've done some photos like with this fem force shoots, I just do it by date, right? Because that's a subscription model. So do that, and just keep yourself really organized, because that will go a long way with your branding as well. So that is it. I think that is that. Yeah, brand recall. You will be in their head. People are recognizing, they recognize my gold logo all the time. They're like, oh, you're the one with the gold. Oh, you're the one with the gold. And I'm like, that is so funny that that is a very common thing. And I work with people all over the world. And it's fascinating. In France, one of my clients, I don't know what just happened. In France, one of my clients, there's a few people in France who somehow saw my logo through her stuff. And they're like, oh, so people in France will be like, oh, you're the gold lady. And I was like, oh, that is so funny. So what a bizarre thing. Are you guys seeing my screen black?
No, we'll see
Oh,
it.
it's still up. Oh, bizarre.
Yeah.
My screen just froze. So anyway, but anyways, that is branding in a nutshell. There's so much more to it, but that is the most simple way to streamline your branding and just get eyes on your stuff, the consistency. Oh, I added some words. I'll stop sharing. But anyways, branding is so extremely important. And then also just getting in touch with your money story and understanding, are you doing any self-sabotaging? Is it fear of success, fear of failure, making money and losing it, and the shame around that? Or is it just straight a lack of clarity on some skill sets that you need to acquire that you can just apply? So I'm here for you in any way I can be, and I'm here to be a cheerleader. So you just let me know how I can support. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you. So I don't know if you have any advice, but Coach Mark says, what if you don't feel photogenic?
Mm-hmm. I get that question all the time, actually. So you don't have to have your brand be your face if that is a legitimate concern of yours. You don't have to have that. And there are ways. So I know this sounds so funny, but I used to be a date coach for men, and I would get them all. They would go to the glasses store, and over Zoom or whatever video chat, I would help them pick their glasses. And there's certain things that we can do to kind of raise our vibe a little bit. Like these glasses, for example, these are just kind of trendy glasses, right? And so sometimes it is how you carry yourself, and it's the little accessories maybe you could add to your look. And then even just thinking about what your clothes are and how they're fitting. And like, I know like I've had clients with the big old beer belly, right? And so they're like, oh, I don't want my belly on camera. I'm like, you're a chest up kind of guy. That's perfectly fine, right? There's no shame in that game. And so, so I would say, first, check in to see if there's something you can just very simply do or shift about your look to just add a little bit of that. There are extremely successful coaches out there who they would not consider themselves as good looking, right? But people love looking at them because it's the vibe they give off, it's their energy that they give off. And so their photos actually come across amazingly well, even though they wouldn't put themselves on the I'm a 10 out of 10 kind of range. So I think it's just checking in with yourself, see if there's something you can slightly shift. Are you clean cut? You know, all that kind of stuff. Are you having like the neck beard go on? Don't let that happen. You know what I mean? And then just, yeah, if there's something simple you can shift. And then also the lighting of your photos. Lighting is amazing. Don't do it in the bathroom, but do take some really nice lighting photos. And you might be amazed at how you come across. So, and you can also hire a professional photographer, and they'll guide you with your expression coaching and things like that. So anyways, I'm glad that helped, Mark. Thank you so much. I'm curious what you're a coach of, by the way. So very nice question. Good. Anything. And Mark, that was very vulnerable of you to ask. And I just think that is awesome that you put that out there. That's super cool. So thank you for asking that question, because I'm sure other people might be feeling the same way. Good stuff. Life transition coach. Ah, ooh, that's powerful. Well, more male vulnerability. That's exactly right. So good for you. That's amazing. I love what you're doing because that is so extremely needed. So extremely needed. So very good. All right.
Awesome.
Any other
Okay.
questions? Yeah.
I don't see anything else. I will put the photo shoot planner in the comments or in the chat one more time here. And then for those of you that are watching the replay of this, the planner will be linked on the bottom of the YouTube video for you to have access to as well. And then I don't know, Melissa, I know you had a question on, let's see here, on your, what here? Oh, on your vault settings. If you are still here, which looks like you are, we can bring you out and let you ask your questions about the vault here. Greg, are you?
Hi.
Yep, I'm here. Hey,
All
Melissa.
right.
Hi, how are you?
Hi,
Good.
Melissa.
How are you?
Good. Yeah, I just have a question on my vaults. I have several of them that are set up and I just went to test one today. I actually have a 28-day challenge set up and I asked my guinea pig to test it. And so she went ahead and clicked the button on my homepage for the 28-day challenge. And it opened right up into like all the classes that she could see to join. And there was only one in there. And I actually have several. So I must have something set up incorrectly somewhere. And I don't know how to find that.
Sure. So when you're saying it opened up right up to logging in or right inside the member vault, was that when you were looking at it on your computer? Or was it also happening for her?
No, as an admin, I can go, when I go into my dashboard, I see them all. But if I switched over to like an incognito tab and signed in as if I was a brand new person, it asks you to sign in. And then when I sign in and it takes you to the landing page with all my vaults in there, I only see one. And it's not the one that I clicked on to join.
Okay, sounds good. Let me share my screen here. Do you mind if I share your website here? I think I found the link,
Sure.
but I just want to confirm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this is your website, which looks amazing, by the way. This is,
Thank you.
you know,
It's the
just looking-
28-day cleanup challenge is the one I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
just wanted to scroll by and show everyone your awesome website before we get on here. So
Nicely done. Woo, I did
you.
graphic design for websites and this is applause. Good job.
it is awesome. So this is the one right here.
Yes, that's the one.
So if you look, I guess I probably can't zoom in on that, but if you look way in the corner there, it looks like it's linked directly to a vault.
Yes.
And so what that's going to do, because well, if you have a login, you'll go there, it'll go to that vault.
Mhm.
But if you don't, it's going to ask you to log in. So do you have that? Do you have you do have signing up on here?
Yeah, that's what I don't want it to do that. This one, well, this one I'm thinking for right now while I was testing it out, I just wanted to be able to have my friend and other people just click it and go straight into the course. But obviously that's not happening and I don't know how to do that. But eventually I'll probably put, this will be like one of my really low price point items, like maybe $27 or something like that. And so eventually I will have it behind a pay thing, but for now.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest a landing page if you wanted this to be, public sign up. Anyone can sign up for it. You can take up the landing pages and let them in. On the paid one, you can set up a payment page on your vault page itself, which is then let them right in.
If you scroll down to the next section, did I have those set up right? Because all those now I have that I think will just go right into the pay one, right?
They look like, let's see here. Let me click on one. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, so that,
There you go.
yeah, okay, so that's fine. But I was
so that's what you
hoping,
do in that other case.
pardon?
Yeah, that's what you would do up here too eventually once that becomes paid. But
Okay,
yeah, so this is a free one right now and you're essentially like beta testing it, right?
yeah, and I would like her to be able to just go right to the page and it's not letting us do that.
Okay. So the couple things I'd recommend, do you mind if I look at your back office here? I can
Sure.
look around in there a little bit. So is
It's
that
messy.
one? That's okay. What is it? Is it called? Oh, this one? Is it this
Yeah.
one here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so just looking at the link itself, like if I click open vault down the bottom, I see, you know, I can copy the link address and
Yeah.
it looks like it's the same one here. So you've got the right link on there.
Yeah.
But the one thing I'm seeing right away is there's no contacts. So you're gonna have to invite at least your friend in there who's testing it.
So
you know,
when they click on the button, like I don't have to, like I want people who haven't contacted me ahead of time to be able to get into it for free, at least for right now, until I put a
Got it.
plan to pay. So I
Okay,
won't
so what you're
know
gonna
ahead
wanna
of time
do-
to have them.
yeah, got it. So in this case, what you'd want to do is create a landing page
Gotcha.
and then, you know, set it up however you want to. But then you'd say, I want to add them to that
Gotcha.
total body cleanup vault. And so then, and then you can probably choose no campaign because there's one that comes out from the vault itself. So then you would link this button to the landing page that you create here ultimately, and then they would sign up and then they would get a link that lets them create an account. So that's how they would get in. You could also, if you wanted to, you know, maybe you could also probably actually on the landing page, you could add a link down here that says, you know, if you already have an account, you know, have an account.
Okay.
Whatever, however you want to say it, click here, and then that would be the direct link that you're seeing down here. That's what I recommend for that way people can still get there from your homepage. They don't have to sign up again. Obviously, you don't want them signing up every time. They just want to sign into their vault. But so yeah, if you want them in, want to let them in for free, then I would go with this approach where it goes from this link to a landing page, which then puts them into the vault. That way, they can essentially add themselves to your contact manager.
All right,
From there.
perfect.
So,
Thanks for the help.
cool.
Good
Yeah,
question.
happy to. Love your website.
Thank
Looks
you.
amazing.
Good.
Cool. Well,
Okay, was there anybody else that had any questions? Let's see. Nope, I don't see anything. Okay. Well, thank you again, Tiffany, for joining us today. We'll have to have you on again sometime in the future. So.
I would love it. I have a lot to talk about. So you let me know. I'll be happy to.
All right.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you guys. And we will see you next time. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
bye everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Valerie.